Apparently, they're trying. It's just that he
He didn't
wants the
want it. He
freedom.
didn't want. God bless. God bless him. God bless him.
I think he's probably one of the only people that could probably go to WWE and goes, "Look, I will sign with you, but you got to let me go work here, go work here, go work here," kind of thing. So,
It would, you
and
know what? It would be great if, and I don't think it will ever happen. And maybe I'm wrong. I would like to think that everybody's always open to uh, different mentalities at some point. But even the WWE, like under Vince, like I know Vince still runs it, but this is more the Hunter and Stephanie show. It's just reality.
right,
Um, I wonder if they would notice it and say, like, yeah, okay, you can go work for New Japan. Or maybe even, I mean, could you imagine if they allowed one of their guys to go work in AEW, which is, of course, taboo? That'll never happen. Well, why not?
yeah,
But just, it's
yeah,
not even, I know it's far fetched. I get it. But why not? What would be the
so
worst case scenario? That's
I
what I'm saying is what would be the worst case scenario? Like, what would be the deal?
right, and kind of what you said, it would never happen under Vince. But it's weird. Maybe it's just
Only
I have a
because
high
it is so weird, but because that's what we've learned to expect. But if
right.
they did, they could work the entire industry. If they could just get along and do business, they could work an entire industry and have so many different sources of income in a worked relationship, like, working angles and situations, storylines, and play them against one another. It could truly be an interfederational angle if they all just agreed to say, yeah, let's all do business together, dude.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, nobody trusts one another. That's the whole deal.
Well, that's what I
You
was
know,
gonna. That's what kind of where I was leaning to. I know it won't happen under Vince, but I kind of maybe it's because I have stronger faith in Triple H. I actually do think Triple H would be more open to it.
I mean, dude, because I'm sure I mean, there's always ways to get out of anything.
Right.
I mean, because listen, for a shoot back in the day, I know for a fact when fucking Sean was questioning he was going to drop the belt to to Austin, I know for a fact Taker was going to make it happen. I know
Right.
that was real because I was traveling with Sean, and Sean called me that whole day telling me I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what the fuck is going on. There was real concern, and if you could just take that and work with it and work
Mhm.
it and just have everybody say, look, we're all getting something here.
Mhm.
This is all I want is my piece. Do it like the mafia, dude. I just want my
Mhm.
piece. This is
Right.
my piece. This is your piece. We all win because we're going down in history.
Mhm.
Come on, man. Think about
Yeah.
it. It's a crazy. They could do whatever the fuck they want right now.
Right.
Just get some people to get along. Can't we all just get along?
Right.
Come on, man.
And I think Triple H is gonna be the one that kind of allows that to happen because one of the things I've noticed with things that are under Triple H's control, they tend to travel a little bit more. Like I think he's the reason why WWE is trying to work with MLW, but also he seems to respect like the more the WCW pass than Vince does. He's the one that brought back Starrcade. He brought
Right.
back Halloween Havoc. He brought back there was one other not Night of Champions, the other one. I'm blanking on it, but he's bringing back a lot of these things under the
Right.
NXT branding, and that
Clash of Champions. No,
Clash of
not
Champions.
Clash. Okay. Okay.
It might have been Clash then. It might have been Night of Champions then, because Clash they've already done.
Halloween
So
Havoc.
yeah, the Halloween Havoc, which I was a big fan of Halloween Havoc from WCW era, but so I think the only one that would make it happen would be honestly Triple H.
Yeah. I mean, it just, I just hope that at some point in my lifetime, I could see everybody just kind of uniting. There was only one, I guess the only one time it was done was an 86, I believe. It was like the Super Bowl of wrestling. It was something like NWA, World Class, AWA. Like everybody got together to do it, like this huge super show to counter the McMahons, right? And
Yeah, I can see that happening.
it ended up being such a shit show because this guy didn't want to do the job, and this, you know what I mean?
Egos get in the way so
And
much.
that and in a worked business, that's the biggest problem is when you can't control the narrative for your best interest. That's a huge problem, and unfortunately that's the deal, right?
Yeah.
Because then even if everybody agrees, are you worried that somebody's going to do the Montreal screw job on you? Like who's in
Mhm.
charge of every? You know what I mean?
Which the Montreal Screwjob.
But
And
you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
yeah, no, no,
is
no.
if we all agree, but somehow the guy that's in charge of this can just bing, whatever. It's like everybody's paranoid, right? Because it's wrestling and everybody's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, because well, I mean, I think I heard about a long time ago. That's something
Well, the
hung over
Montreal
the
screw job
Simpsons.
was a work. First of all,
You,
that was a
you
shoot work. I know for a fact it was a work,
really?
bro. I've said this for 5 years. It's a straight up work. Yeah, it was a work from day one.
Huh?
That's a whole different podcast, but yeah,
Oh
it
yeah,
was a
yeah,
work.
yeah, 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 yeah,
It
yeah.
was
That
because I have a hold. No, I'm not holding back. It's just it'll take this conversation somewhere
well,
else.
you have more context to it between
Well,
Hunter, Sean.
I was traveling with Sean for a year leading up to this, and with Paul and all these guys. So there was a lot of things going on. So
Yeah,
it was the start of the new way of thinking and not burying Brett.
right. Well, true.
It was to make the heel McMahon character and not bury Brett. That's the
And
best way I could say it right now without going into
it
specifics
makes
because you know
it makes sense. But how could WCW mess that up when they get Bret Hart hot off of that?
I don't know. Well, because WCW, I think for a lot of people that landed in there was more of just like now I just got guaranteed money. I don't give a fuck because WCW didn't matter as much in the actual ring as WWE did. WWE for some reason always had the cachet or the clout. Should I call it like that? It mattered. WCW was always like a little bit second fiddle as far as clout in the ring.
Mhm.
So when Brett got there, it's like they didn't even think about what the real potential, because at that time they were already fucking going down. They were worrying about the NWO. Bischoff had extended himself so much. It was just like he was just doing moves to do moves that he thought would best help WCW, but nobody else was helping the cause to make it,
Right.
from a storyline perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Vince was way ahead of that game, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and his takeover eventually on the
Yeah.
Monday Night Wars.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. I actually remember Bret Hart going over there. I didn't know who he was prior to it. I just remember him showing up on TV and
Oh,
everything.
really?
I was a WCW guy. Like I said, I didn't
Oh
know who
my
you were
God.
prior to seeing a shirt about you. So
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, Brett was like our savior. He was the guy. Like he was literally, and I remember like we did a 25-day tour of the Philippines and Japan.
Mhm.
And I was young. I was like 21 years old doing the Aldo gimmick. And Bret Hart was the main event on every show. And I remember literally watching every night because we had tour buses. We didn't have our own vehicles, obviously. And I remember watching every main event that was Bret Hart. And the music would come on, the pink and black and the smoke. And Bret would come out and get these huge the adoration and the crowd. They pop so big for him. And I literally asked him one night on the bus ride to another town because it was long bus rides. I was like, Bret, how do like I was trying to just smarten myself up, and he kind of gave me a dismissive answer. But I was like, how do you become that? How do you do that? Like, wow, I was like so amazed by him. And he kind of like blew me off. He was kind of a dick, to be honest. But
uh,
and even
he,
though I was trained by his family and his brothers, um, it doesn't matter. But he was, but still, it was like he was the shit for WWF back then. 94,
yeah,
95. That was the direction.
yeah. And he became one of the guys that as you got older, you kind of just respected more and more. Um, and
It's almost by default, though. It's almost like you're told you have to.
to an extent, but as I was into the flashy stuff as a kid or younger
Yeah, and
guy.
so was I. So was I. Like the high flying stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah, me too. Me
Billy,
too. Yep.
Ray,
Yep.
Dean, Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho,
Guerrero.
Guerrera,
Yep.
yeah, all those
Absolutely.
guys.
Yep.
So then when you go back and watch like how like Greg was able to manipulate everyone's feelings throughout a match, it's like, wow, he was really good.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. He was. I mean, he was very good. But like at the same extent, WCW just dropped it. unfortunately.
Completely.
Yeah.
So to go back to Blood and Guts, because we kind of panned off way over there, but with that match, so there was one of the things that there's a couple things I noticed. They took apart the turnbuckle pad and they had that I don't know what to call it, but basically anchors the turnbuckle to the post where Sammy almost actually landed on top of it.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Does that okay, two-parter. How bad would that hurt if he landed on it? And have you ever seen that happen in a match where either they land on it or they use that as a weapon?
No. It was definitely gimmicked, premeditated, because those rings. If you know anything about a wrestling ring, which I know most people don't. I don't mean that facetiously or in a cocky way.
Right.
But what I mean by that is, like, there's so much pressure up top to hold those ropes so tight. Like, you got to think how tight those ropes are. So the pressure, if you think about how the shit is, the top of the posts are going to generally move inward if the ropes are so tight. So which means at times they have to put cables and stuff on the bottom to kind of try to even out all that pressure with the steel. I mean, it's really an amazing thing to have a wrestling ring done. It's a lot harder than it looks. So that was completely gimmicked and staged to happen. It's never happened before, and it never would, especially with cables. With the WWE, which used turnbuckles and real ropes, that could happen because wow, this I can't even do it justice, and I know the audience that's listening are going to be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" When WWE at one point used legitimate ropes up until like '95, like real ropes that had a lot more elasticity. WCW, AEW uses basically cable, like wire cable, and then you put like a lawnmower, like not a lawnmower, like a hose, like a garden hose. Like you put wire, like a hard wire cable, and a garden hose, and then you wrap it up in tape to make it give it the color. That's what those ropes are.
Really?
If you ever, you know what I'm talking about, like those 2-inch steel wires, right?
Yeah. I think someone told me, or I've heard before, like elevator.
And then, exactly. And then you put that in a garden hose, right? So it has that thicker thing, and then you tape that up. That's why when they hit the ropes, you hear the chink, because it's the garden hose hitting the wire. The wire is what the actual stability is. So those things are wired so tight that it would never happen in real life. In a WWE ring, it would, because those were actual ropes. We're done totally different. The only reason I know is because I had to put rings up for the first year of my entire career, and very different rings, and so forth. So I had to literally piece by piece put them up and take them down at night. So
and they stopped using ropes recently, right?
Yeah, which sucks because I loved ropes. They're much better.
But that would probably wouldn't that hinder a high flyer?
A high flyer, yes. Oh, absolutely, because they don't have that tightrope act. Right. But you remember that old gig you used to do if you like fell into the thing and you got tied up like with your arms in the ropes. Remember how guys would get? You can't do that in cable. That would rip your arms right off.
Isn't that how?
With ropes you can.
That's how Mick Foley lost his ear.
Yeah, with the WCW ropes or the WCW cable, right? But if it was WWE ropes, it wouldn't do that. It would just stretch. It was just different ways to do it. It was still like nobody was thinking about it like that intricately. But yeah, that was the huge difference, because wire is gonna just be hard as fuck. Like you couldn't get your neck caught in those motherfuckers, or you couldn't get your arms caught in those. Like, how guys get trapped up in the ropes. That was only in WWE, because those other rings were just you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I know I'm not doing it justice for the fans.
No, it makes sense. Because like I said, I haven't seen anyone take apart a ring like that and try to use it as a weapon.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I'm like, what? Really?
It was kind of cool, but everybody that's where they're trying to go now. It's like.
Well, they definitely made it look like an all-out war, which credit to them for that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean it is cool because people. I don't know what fans really think is under those rings,